Okay, continuing on with another passage. And if you all did not tune in to Simplify Your Life, I really recommend you doing that. And that's a previous email, and you should have it somewhere in your inbox. Instead of going back and recording it, I realized that I kind of shorthanded you there. And I didn't read the concluding quote. So Marie Kondo is like the master minimalist. Look her up. She's quite fascinating. So I'm going to put this quote on the front end of the next passage here, but go back. I know, wild, right? Kind of crazy. Lots of stuff moving around, but keep only those things that speak to your heart. Remember the basics. Okay, not those shiny objects that we often so desire. And then take the plunge and discard all the rest. Like, take the actual plunge. Like, I don't need this crap, this stuff. Getting rid of like one thing a day. Or maybe it's one thing a week. Take your time with it. By doing this, you can reset your life and embark on a new lifestyle. Okay. Now, getting into the next passage here, and this is week 2, passage 6. Again, there's no like right way, wrong way, just a bunch of different ways how to utilize this book, Micro Reflections for the 21st Century in Your Life. And we offer that in our 90-day introspective bundle with a journal to reflect on. This thing is pretty awesome. I have probably multiple of these filled up with just notes and introspections, as well as our Mind's Eye introspection product and the Mind's Eye Harmonize, a weekly Zoom call, a one-on-one 30-minute consult with myself, because I like to get you on that right path, as well as the Food for Thought 36 plant-based recipe book, a micro tracker, a mini course, all types of things to get you going for less than $7 a day. That's like a daily Starbucks, okay, or $212 per month. Many of you have come to us and have tried talk therapy. An average therapist in this country right now is between $230 and $325 an hour. And if you're doing that once a week, you can do the math on that. So anyway, this is one of my favorite passages. I love this one. So this is how we're moving into being more connected with the rhythms of nature. So 90 days, that 90-day introspective bundle, 12 weeks, a season, a quarter. I like to think in seasons, the equinox to the solstice, solstice to equinox, equinox to the solstice. Okay, and getting in the rhythm of nature, right? Nature is evolving in cycles, and we evolve in cycles as well. And microdosing is a great way to get us in those rhythms of nature, even if we're not close to nature or immersed in it. One can start to be able to reflect on the interconnectedness of the natural rhythms that Mother Nature provides us. So when we care for our mind's eye, we care for the earth. Very powerful statement. What we should always enjoy when using sub-perceptual doses of psilocybin intentionally, microdosing essentially, is the feelings of interconnectedness it brings to our neural network, to our fellow humans, into Mother Nature. Psilocybin, mushrooms, comes from the earth. It changes our mind's eye through shifts in perception, and via a series of individual shifts goes on making ripple effects through the larger neural networks of humans, further revealing more about ourselves. Nala, the German shepherd that I'm watching, I think like that, if you could hear her in the background there. There is this ubiquitous idea in society, an unconscious arrogance. Yes, powerful statement, unconscious arrogance, that each person has a separate mold of a brain. Right? Here's a brain bucket, right? My hat, I'll just take it off. Like an ice cube broken away from an ice cube tray. Right? Think of an ice cube tray, and each individual slot in there is an ice cube. We're not individual, we are the whole ice cube tray. A more harmonious way to perceive this is that we are actually separate nodes and shoots, a mycelium net cast from a much larger network of thoughts and vibrations. That being the case, what affects one mind affects the entire vast network of all humans and living beings on this planet, including the flora and fauna we coexist with. The plants, the animals, right? The ecosystem that we are surrounded by. We coexist with all of them. This also includes our thoughts, as we are bound by nature to have different states of consciousness, right? Happy, sad, blissful, grief, down, tired, all of it, different states of consciousness, dreaming, sleeping, to be or not to be. That is the question. Our thoughts don't begin and end with us. We are merely a channel, or as Osho says, a hollow bamboo, right? We are a hollow bamboo or a vessel for these thoughts and like altered states of consciousness to move through us. We're just a vessel, right? So our subjective reality and the way we perceive our life, are we perceiving or projecting? Okay, is a great question to ask about that. And when we are out of balance or not being that hollow bamboo or flowing, think of what a piece of hollow bamboo does. It flows, right? Or it allows things to flow through it, rather. If we are able to stop and weed the garden of the mind, right? That's what microdosing essentially does. It just kind of weeds and untangles the noise in the proverbial jungle using a machete. We shall share in the delight when the earth is finally respected. There is this paradoxical polarity that we have been radically experiencing as a culture, yet the unfathomable mysteries of nature are always tethered to the larger context of the universe. We humans are a part of nature, so why should we believe that we are disconnected from it or other brains? Quote, the nature of the mind is clear light, defilements are superficial. Dharma Kirktree. So when we care for our mind's eye, we care for the earth. Now there's a lot to unpack in here. So I'm really going to do something a bit different here. Read this over and over again. Listen to it over and over again. If you may, you don't have to. Close your eyes after, do a little quick meditation on it, and really ground into how you are connected to the other people in your life. Okay, the sphere of influence, and then outwardly from that, and then outwardly from that, and the ripple effect through the larger neural network of all humans. Excuse me. Humans that cough as well. And then zoom way out in how you're connected with Earth and how we're flowing with Earth. So that is that interconnectedness that it brings to our neural networks. And we live in such this disconnected, polarized society filled with cancel culture, finger pointing, blaming, shaming, guilty, all of it, which is that unconscious arrogance that each person has this separate mold of a brain, right? That we're separate from everyone else, and we're pointing fingers, and we're judging, and we're doing all the things that humans do. And we're not different from most other people, right? So that ice cube tray analogy, we are all the ice cube tray. We're not the individuals within it. So that more harmonious way to perceive is that we are separate nodes and shoots from the larger mycelial net cast from that larger network of thoughts and vibrations. Think of the thoughts that we have that we might project onto other people and how that might affect others. Are we projecting or are we perceiving, right? Perceiving the way things are, not as the way we think they should be. So that being the case, what affects one mind really affects the vast network of all of us, right? The ice cube tray, the larger network of all humans in the sentient beings, the flora and fauna that we coexist with. So how can we co-create human health and happiness if we can't even coexist with each other in the flora and fauna within our ecosystem? And this includes our thoughts, that we are all bound by nature. Everyone is bound by nature to have much radically different states of consciousness. One person might be sad and you might be happy. That doesn't make us really any different. It's just a different state of consciousness. So to be or not to be, that is the question. And taking the time to stop with that quiet, compassionate reflection on self. Remember some of those other readings that I've done. And weed the proverbial garden of the mind, right? When you don't upkeep your house, what happens? It gets really messy. You don't do laundry, what happens? You don't have any clothes to wear. When you don't clean out the refrigerator, what happens? It gets kind of nasty and smelly. You don't take out the trash, what happens? You're just living amongst trash. Or you don't weed the vegetable garden or the flower garden, what happens? It gets overtaken by weeds that you don't want. That's the same thing with our minds. Okay? Weeding the garden of the mind through meditation, quiet discernment, and microdosing, in the combination of all of them, we can share in the delight together when the earth is finally respected. So those are just a little bit of improvised riffs and jamming out in this little jam session of one of my favorite passages here. When we care for our mind's eye, we care for the earth. So a little challenge for all of you that actually may listen to these or maybe not. I hope so. Think of areas in your life where you can care for your mind's eye, where you can weed that garden, and how it can help care for the earth, and how you're being of service now when you're taking care of yourself and your thoughts that have that ripple effect outwardly to the people in your life, the communities that you're in, the civilization, society that you're in, the larger culture, and the larger neural network of the universe. Thank you all for listening to this one. Cheers.